So the flood begins on the 17th day of the second month, and the flood ends on the 17th day of the fifth month. So we have this number 17 appearing twice, and that day marked the beginning of the catastrophe, the 17th, as well as the relief, and the 17th is when the flood officially is declared over, such that both events seem to be related, as suggested by the closing shape of the directional reading mark. The Tipcha closes off the concept of the flood, which both began and ended on the 17th of a month. And we get a note after that. It resembles the Midrash, B'yom Shenecharav the Beis Mikdash, Nolad Goel. On the day that the temple was destroyed, the Redeemer was born. So we get the concept of God always preparing the solution whenever the problem presents itself. So we have the story with Isaac and Rivka's being born as soon as he comes down from the Akedah, so that the solution to the problem, how are you going to continue the lineage after that, is always presented at the time when the problem arises. And here similarly, the same day that the problem arises is the day where the solution is presented. Number 7, Ha'asiri, the 10th, with the stabilizing et nachta. Various specifications were reserved for the month, the 7th, which was a reflection of Sabbath and relief. Vayom hashvi'i vayanach, as expressed by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So the concept of 7 being completion, 7 being rest, 7 being natural order of things. We see that the 7th month also gets some of this. I'm reading the wrong. Where am I reading? Must be reading the wrong one.
Shiva Shema Chodesh, right?
8-4. Yeah.
Page 47.
For the month, La Chodesh, with the Katan, for the month.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, I'm looking beside it. The next pasuk. That's why I'm confusing myself. I apologize. So again, we're getting this stabilizing concept of 7 entering into the month of Tishrei as well.
7th month, Tishrei is also Harat Olam. It's also when the world was originally born, and now it's reborn.
Hayam Harat Olam, Harat
Al, over, with the Tipcha. This is going to sweep in what's come from before, with a slight pause after it. The ark found itself situated over a valley amidst elevated peaks, as specified by the reverse direction of the reading mark. So this is going to, he's not relating it necessarily so much back to the story as to more the physical location of the ark, in that it is looking back to where it's situated. I'm trying to see where he gets the concept of a valley, other than the fact that we're over something. So when you're on a mountain, you have to be over a valley, but I don't think there's anything more specific than just the reality of geography there. Hare, with a mercha, the mountains of. This is going to slightly collect what was come before, but mostly focus on what we're going to get afterwards. High mountains of the vicinity surrounded the ark and protected it from cold blowing winds, as illustrated by the directional shape of the reading mark. So it's going to look forward to what's going to come after it, but the fact that it is over something is going to be slightly in there because it's on a mountainous area. We're going to draw on the features of the mountains that are around it. You'll remember that we were drawing on the concept of, from this point on, mercy has re-entered the world and re-entered the surroundings and re-entered what all of the physical things are doing. So the fact that it's on mountains, the mountains have to be doing their part in this concept of mercy as well. And that's how we get the idea that the mountains are protecting it from cold blowing winds and protecting it from other things that are around it, because the Mercha draws in generally the concepts that have gone before, but it's going to look forward to what's going to go on after that. So if you notice, we've introduced yet another new concept, that the mountains are doing something. They're not just mountains that the ark is resting on. We're saying because that Mercha has this quality of drawing in from before in a general sense, we draw in from before the concept of mercy that we've introduced in the past couple of psukim, and we're going to anthropomorphize that mercy into what the mountains are doing. We're going to give them a much more active role with this note Mercha than is mentioned in any other context. Ararat, with a sof pasuk, those were the summits of Ararat. Note, the Kurdish mountains of Armenia contain two outstanding peaks: the Great Ararat, 5,156 meters on the east, and the small Ararat, 3,914 meters on the west side, also known as Mount Buvar. Noach's ark was somewhere in between. So the current geographical feature doesn't give us any currently named geographical features. Give us an approximate area. Certainly, we had said in the introduction that we were going to introduce geography and modern politics and so on into our translation here, and the current names matching the biblical name is obviously a feature that we wanted to mention. Should note that he doesn't attribute any specialness to the fact that this name is given at a sof pasuk. So he doesn't necessarily attribute any stability to it, and then he mentions that the currently named places that have that name are in fact approximations. So I'm not sure if that's an intentional statement that there isn't in fact the complete stability of a sof pasuk here, and the way that we name things now don't have that stability. But I'm intrigued a little bit that this is the first time we've come to a defined word that doesn't have a definite extra attribute given to it because of the note that it falls on. We'll wait till later on when we get more proper names introduced and see if the sof pasuk with the proper name just stands as a fact rather than not having an attribute of stability to that. And we read the pasuk. Vatanach hateva b'chodesh hashvi'i b'shivasar yom b'chodesh al Mareh Ararat. Do another pasuk, 8:5. The Hamayim, and the waters with the Revi'i. The ark had already landed between the tall peaks of the Ararat, and the waters of the surrounding still prevailed, as indicated by the broad meaning of the reading mark. Revi'i is going to focus us on the word, it's going to give it some emphasis, and it's going to tell us that this is something that stands separate or stands alone. And again, the Revi'i perhaps has some concept of letters to it, of levels to it as well. So the water that's still there is water that could be part of is still a major factor in the world. The water that's remaining, the part of the flood that is still below the ark now, is still a significant factor. It's something that's standing out by itself. It's still a major problem. It's still an impediment to the world going on. So that's why it gets to stand alone. The remaining floodwater is still a factor, despite all of these things that we've been saying that have been blessings and have been good and looking forward. There's still Hamayim. It's still sitting there.
Well, if you're between 4,000 and 5,000 meters above sea level, there's still a lot of water.
Hayu, they were, with a pashta, which slightly emphasizes the word, but mostly looks forward to what is going to come after it. Not only was there no workable land in sight, but outside the Ararat, the horizon was totally unobstructed, the blue of the skies meeting the level of the waters. They were monotonously endless, as denoted by the directional shape of the reading mark. So literally, you're looking out from there onto the horizon, and you're seeing just water. Even though you've got a couple of peaks around you, so you've got a landmark now, you're looking out into nothingness. So you are standing in a place where you are something that stands out, and you're looking out, and that's your pashta. Standing in a place by itself, that's a little bit emphasized, looking out. Haloch, with a munach. So this is actually this is part of a zakef katon. So this is separates itself out from what's gone before and looks forward into what is going to go afterwards. However, the flood kept going down continuously, and the Ararat became progressively more exposed, as stressed by the shape of the reading mark. So before you had so much that you can see, and progressively you're going to see more and more and more. So what you see on day 2 is different from what you see on day 1. So you're going to get new revelations that separates yourself out from the reality that you had the day before. Hence it gets a munach. V'chasor, this is a katon, which should have a second dot there. Confirm that I'm not talking something that's from my head and not the reality. But it's got to be. So yes, it's katon. So we should make a second dot over the sin, the samach, v'chasor, and decreasing with that double parted note, the katon, number 4, and it did not return to the previous level. It was receding and decreasing steadily by measurable comparisons with regular time intervals, as pointed out by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So again, what we're saying is what you see yesterday is different from what you see today, is different from what you see tomorrow. So when you compare time point to time point, you're seeing two different things. That lessening is visibly evident, and that's why you get that 2-part shape to the note. Ad, till, with a tikha, which is going to roll in what has come from before it and have a slight pause after it. The gradual descent of the water level was insignificant till a drastic change had taken place, as referred backwards by the directional shape of the reading mark. So until this point, we're talking about gradual decreases, and all of a sudden, we're going to talk about much more dramatic changes from day to day. So this is rolling in all of those gradual changes from before, and then we've got to pause, and then we're going to go into what's going to go on after it. HaChodesh with a munach. So this is going to separate itself out from what's gone before and lead into the new reality afterwards. The month, number 6. The month had arrived when a new feature was inaugurated in the regress of the flood, as shown by the shape of the reading mark. So before we didn't see we didn't see this thing, and afterwards we are going to see this thing. So that typifies the concept of the munach. Ha'asiri, the 10th, with the stabilizing middle of the sentence at nachta. It was the 10th month, and a new phenomenon was established within the advancement, as suggested by the stabilizing shape of the reading mark. So this newness that we introduced with the munach before is now going to be a stabilizing feature that's going to move forward. We haven't mentioned what it is yet, because there's no derivation from either the words or the notes themselves, but we are introducing at least the concept of something new. Ba'asiri, on the 10th, with a pashta, which is going to, again, like we so eloquently saw from before, stand us on a little bit of plateau and have us looking out at what's going to go afterwards. On the 10th month, the level of the flood could be established by a new standard of comparison, as expressed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So you're going to stand from here, and you're going to look at what's going to come afterwards. Be'echad, on 1, with a zakef, with a munach. So this is going to separate itself out from things from before and look forward into what's going to come afterwards. On one day, which was the first of that month, a sign of new hope that the catastrophic event of the flood was on its way out was confirmed, as supported by the shape of the reading mark. And again, we've got this mystery thing that's going to come to us by the end of the pasuk, that we're going to, again, have a reality from before, and then move forward once we've revealed what this reality is. La Chodesh, for the month, with a katon. This is that 2-part shaped note. Not only was that sign characteristic of that particular day, but it carried its importance for the month, as specified by the bipartite shape of the reading mark. So the new feature that we're going to say was revealed is going to both distinguish the day and distinguish the month, and that's why we get that double-shaped note. Nir'u, they appeared, with a tipcha. This is going to focus us backwards and draw on the stuff that's come before, and have a slight pause afterwards so that we get to something different afterwards. They appeared. A chain of solid structures emerged in succession and appeared by rising above the level of the floodwater, as illustrated by the shape of the reading mark. So this is going to move us back to the concept of the flood and everything that had disappeared. And now we have something that does appear, and that's going to separate out from what's going to go on afterwards. Rashi, with a mercha, heads of. This is going to focus us forward onto what's going to come afterwards. There were heads of mountains in scattered areas that started to egress into increasing numbers, as conveyed by the directional shape of the reading mark. So the number that you're going to see today is going to multiply, and you're going to see more tomorrow and more the next day, and so on. And that's why we're going to look forward from there into what's going to go on. And we're going to slightly draw all the concepts of what's come before into our mercha. So the idea of new things appearing is going to be in that mercha as well. Harim, with the stabilizing sof pasuk. The mountains, number 13. Like the distribution of the mountains, the protruding peaks were arranged in patterns like chains.
Where did you get that
Um, I don't know where we're getting the concept of chains, other than that's you know an English term for what you would
chains?
for what you would call a group of mountains. But I don't see anywhere that we've actually mentioned that concept before, and I don't see anywhere in either the text or the notes that tells us that. And again, we come to the end of a sentence without focusing on the stabilizing idea of sof pasuk, although this is certainly implied by the concept of what's going on, that we've got more stability because we've got more things that are visible. But again, it's not mentioned explicitly. Read the sentence. V'hamahayim hayu haloch v'chasor ad hachodesh ha'asiri v'asiri v'echad lachodesh niru rashi ha'arim. So just when we read that, I want you to notice the small pause that's after a tipcha. So between 11 and 12, they appeared, and the heads of the mountains. When we look at number 11 again, we're saying that this is something that's appearing, and it's going to make it different afterwards. And then Rashi Harim is really what's going to stand out. That's what's going to be the new reality. That's going to move us forward. That's what we've been referring to in this entire sentence, and it's going to stand out in the sentence because of that minor pause that comes after a tipcha. Ba'asiri b'echad lachodesh niru rashi harim. So it's there. It's very short, but the pause is part of that tipcha. I think are we starting to fade? Is that what I'm gathering? I think we'll maybe call it for this week, and we'll continue on next week. Thank you one and all.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Jeff.